told you that these little paper clips, binder clips, could completely transform your productivity? Well, I experimented for 14 days with this paperclip method in hopes of improving my time management and, well, my productivity. Today I'm going to share with you why my first trial was a complete bust and what I learned so that you can use it for a successful productivity hack. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Rachel and I am all about helping entrepreneurs with their productivity, time management, and setting and achieving their goals. What exactly is the paperclip method, you might ask? It's a straightforward visual that will help you stay focused and motivated, all while staying productive. It helps you track your progress, and the idea of it is so simple. You take paper clips from one jar, and every time you complete a task, you remove them and put them into another jar, and that's it. It might sound basic, but it absolutely can increase your productivity. So where did it even come from? Well, once upon a time, there was this Canadian stockbroker who goes by the first name of Trent. And as he tells his story, he claims that he did not like making cold calls. And so what he decided was to come up with this method to help give him a little bit of motivation as he sat down each day to make his calls. He took 2 baby food jars. One had 60 paper clips in it. The other was empty. And every time he got off the phone from a cold call, he would take out a paper clip and pop it into the empty jar. He did this every day, and the technique gained some attention and can even be found in James Clear's Atomic Habit book. And if you want to implement this into your daily habits, all you need are paper clips and a couple jars. But first, let's talk about why it works. The paperclip method works because of something called instant gratification. Now, recently, instant gratification has gotten a bad rap, but the way I see it is if we're channeling it for good, it can't be a bad thing. So let's break it down. Instant gratification is when your brain boosts this little thing called dopamine, and it makes you want more. Dopamine is just a fancy word for what the brain releases when you do fun and exciting things, the feel-good stuff. Now, I know that daily tasks at work are not always those fun and exciting feel-good things, but when you get to move the paperclip from one jar to the next and you get to visually see one jar emptying and the other jar filling, those are like little tiny spurts of dopamine. It increases motivation, which increases your productivity. And because you don't have to wait for the end result, you get that immediate satisfaction every time you physically pick up a paperclip and drop it into the next jar. Have you ever had a checklist of items that you need to get done for the day? Instead of organizing them in order of true importance, you just kind of reorder them to do the things that you want to do first, so that if there's anything that doesn't get done, it can be the hard stuff. Well, I recently found myself doing just that when I experimented for the first time with the Ivy Lee method for productivity. And if you're not sure what that productivity hack is, you're probably going to want to check it out. The items on the checklist were giving me a little bit of satisfaction when I could check them off, but I kept carrying over really important tasks from one day to the next to the next. And what I found was that it wasn't just simply carrying it over to the next day to get done, but these important tasks were getting pushed to the bottom of the list. And not only were they getting pushed to the bottom of the list, they were on my mind constantly in the evening when I wasn't supposed to be thinking about working. Insert the paperclip method and you get a little instant gratification. So those really difficult tasks or those not so exciting tasks, when attached to the automatic gratification of moving a clip over from one jar to the next, can really make a difference. But here's the thing. I tried this paperclip method for 14 days originally in my first trial. And guess what I found? I didn't like it. I was so disappointed that I felt like it wasn't really a motivator for me. But like everything, I like to break down the good, the bad, the ugly. I like to reflect on things and figure out, especially when they don't go right, why they didn't go right. And I'm going to share with you why the paperclip method didn't work initially and what I figured out to help you use the paperclip method increase your productivity. All right, so my paperclip method was a little bit different. I used binder clips. I decided to get some colorful clips and a clipboard. No real reason, except I just thought that it would be fun. jars and silver paper clips are going to do just fine. My first mistake though was I put this in behind me. When I sit in my office, I sit with a wall behind me and it has a little shelf on it, and I set this on the shelf. And I know that this might sound silly, but I know on my reflection that this visual wasn't a visual for me. It sat in behind me all the time. So every day as I completed a task, my mistake was I used my Ivy Lee checklist and I completed the tasks that I needed to complete. And then I got up and I walked away. And then I would remember, oh yeah, right, I'm working on the paperclip method. I'm doing this experiment. I've got to go back down and I've got to go find the paper clips or the binder clips and I've got to attach them to my whiteboard. That isn't instant gratification. So I was doing it all wrong. The other thing I found was this. I truly believe that the paperclip method is a really great motivator. It's a really great visual. However, I think that there are instances, I think that there are examples, I think that there are certain tasks where this method works much better. I think this method works best when you have rapid fire activity. And what I mean is this. Thinking back to our stockbroker, Trent, he had 60 calls that he wanted to make every day. So every time he made a call, he moved over a paperclip. If you are doing a task that takes hours to complete, the gratification isn't quite so instant. Does that mean that you can't make the paperclip method work? No, I don't think that at all. I just think that you need to break it down into sizable chunks that helps give you that boost every time you grab a paperclip. So you might not be making 60 phone calls. If you are, then you don't have to adjust at all. But if you aren't, and you have bigger tasks that take a longer time, I think that there are a variety of ways that you can shift it, but here's what I did, and I'm finding that it's working for me. So if I have a task, where did my marker go? So if I have a task that I know right now I'm building a website. So that is not an easy feat if you've ever tried to do that and you are new at it. It's a lot of learning. It's a huge learning curve. And so that's not something that I'm going to get done anytime soon. So if one paperclip was going to represent me building my website, it would take me a long time to build up my paperclips. However, what I've decided to do is my goal, let's say for the week, so let's say week 1, let's say I'm going to give myself a paperclip every time I put in 15 minutes. And let's say I want to have 10 chunks of 15-minute productivity. So that's pretty exciting. If I work for a full hour, I get to move over 4 paperclips. Whatever, you can change this, whatever works for you. And then what I love about using this whiteboard, because I am a visual person and I like the idea of having a bit of a countdown too. So even though the paper clips are in front of me, and what I might do is actually just take out all of the paper clips except for the 10, so that I'm only putting in the amount of paper clips that I want to move over here. And I might even just tally out 10 tallies. And so every time I get to mark off 1 tally, I take a paper clip, I put it over here, I work another 15 minutes, I take out a paper clip, put it over here, mark off my tally. The other thing that I am going to work with that I think might work really well is this. But if you have a goal that you're working for, and I don't mean the goal of completing a task, which I know is a goal in of itself, but sometimes fun goals, maybe going out to dinner or celebrating with a glass of wine or a bottle of wine if you don't normally do that, whatever your personal goal is, attach something fun to it so that when you reach a certain number, it just gives you even more reason to celebrate. And of course, maybe it's just that you're going to make a dinner or whatever. It doesn't have to be attached to something monetary, but to have a goal there is also motivating. And if it helps you be more productive, it's worth it. So especially if you have bigger tasks, find a way to break them down, whether it's by minutes, whether it's by tiny little steps to the bigger task, whatever it is, figure out a way that you can break it down into small steps so that you can get your paper clips moving. If you've already given this method a try and you love it, tell me what I'm missing. Is there another way, or is there another technique that you've added to this method that makes it even better for productivity? Share away. And of course, tell me what your goal was and what were those tasks that got you moving your paperclip from one jar to the next. And as always, if you found anything in this video interesting or inspiring, please don't forget to give it a like. Until next time, trust your own journey.